Have you ever found yourself lingering in a situation or relationship that doesn't feel right, yet you can't bring yourself to leave? Or perhaps you've stayed, hoping that things would change, only to realize that you're the one left feeling drained and depleted. Walking away can seem like a drastic measure, almost as though it's an act of surrender or defeat. But what if walking away is actually the most powerful action you could take? In the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches resilience and self-mastery, the act of walking away isn't about retreating from life's challenges. Rather, it's about honoring your own value and protecting your peace. When we practice Stoicism, we learn to recognize that leaving certain situations behind is an expression of our strength, not our weakness. The true test lies in knowing when to stay and when to say goodbye. As we journey through the following principles, I encourage you to reflect on the relationships or situations in your life where you may feel bound by duty or loyalty, yet held back from your true self. The greatest revelations often come when we dare to step away and make room for something greater. In the final section, we'll explore how cultivating an abundance mindset and mastering the art of negotiation can add clarity and resolve to every decision we make. But first, let's delve into the courage it takes to walk away, which is the cornerstone of reclaiming your personal power. 1. Embracing the courage to walk away. In a world that values resilience, we often equate perseverance with strength. Society teaches us to push through, to stay committed, and to bear the burden, even when the weight becomes unbearable. But what if true courage lies not in clinging, but in letting go? Embracing the courage to walk away means choosing yourself over external expectations. It's a reminder that we are not bound by the opinions of others, but are free to create boundaries that respect our well-being. Are you ready to claim this freedom? The Stoics understood the importance of boundaries, and they taught that our inner peace is our most valuable asset. In the words of Epictetus, we cannot control others, but we can control how we respond. Sometimes that response involves the silent power of walking away. It's a subtle yet profound declaration of self-respect, a commitment to protecting your well-being above all. When we understand our worth, we become less willing to compromise ourselves for the sake of temporary harmony. Walking away then becomes an act of preserving our inner peace, a quality highly valued in Stoicism. But how does one muster the courage to leave behind what feels familiar, even if it's no longer fulfilling? Courage arises when we recognize that our time and energy are finite. By staying in spaces that drain us, we deny ourselves the chance to flourish in environments that uplift us. Reflect on a time when you felt compelled to stay, despite the toll it was taking on you. Was it worth it, or did it come at a personal cost? Walking away, however, isn't just about physical departure. It's a mental and emotional shift, a willingness to detach from situations or people who no longer align with your values. Stoicism reminds us that our happiness is not rooted in external validation, but in our ability to cultivate peace within ourselves. By letting go of what doesn't serve us, we're reclaiming control over our own story. Walking away becomes not only a form of self-preservation, but also a step toward a life grounded in purpose and clarity. In the Stoic perspective, true courage isn't found in how much we can endure, but in how willing we are to prioritize our own mental well-being. It's a courage that comes from understanding our own worth and refusing to settle for less than we deserve. When we make this choice, we send a powerful message to ourselves and others that we are in control of our lives. We are not defined by anyone else's expectations or demands. So, are you ready to embrace the courage to walk away? It's not a rejection of responsibility, but a deep acknowledgement of self-worth. Leaving behind what no longer serves us is the first step toward a life of authenticity, purpose, and strength. As we move to the next principle, let's explore how having a clear purpose can transform the act of walking away from an uncertain decision into a powerful affirmation of your chosen path. 2. Living with purpose and direction. When you have a clear purpose, each decision, each relationship, each commitment gains meaning and alignment with your values. Living with purpose is akin to having an internal compass, a steadfast guide that helps us navigate through life's complexities, giving clarity to when we should stay and when we should walk away. For those who practice Stoicism, living with purpose is foundational. It's about choosing a path aligned with what truly matters to you and following it with integrity. But how do we define purpose? For the Stoics, purpose wasn't about achieving fame, wealth, or power. Rather, it was about living in accordance with nature and embodying virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Purpose is the quiet strength that reminds us of our values when we are faced with difficult decisions. It's the knowledge of who we are and what we stand for, guiding us toward actions that bring harmony between our inner selves and the world around us. When we live with purpose, we are less likely to seek validation from others or linger in relationships that no longer serve our growth. Think about it. How much of your time is spent fulfilling other people's expectations rather than your own goals? Many of us fall into patterns of pleasing others, of doing what we think is expected, all while sidelining our own dreams and aspirations. Without a clear purpose, it's easy to get caught in this cycle. When we don't know where we are going, any road can feel right, and yet we end up feeling lost. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate self-awareness, to understand our own desires, and to chart a course that is true to ourselves. Purpose gives us the strength to say no when we need to, even when it feels uncomfortable. It helps us to avoid distractions and stay focused on what genuinely matters. When we know our direction, we are better equipped to walk away from anything that disrupts our path. This is why purpose and direction are essential companions to the act of walking away. Without them, we risk drifting into situations where others define our worth, where our lives become reactions to external pressures rather than reflections of our true intentions. Living with purpose also enhances our resilience. Life is full of challenges, of people and situations that test our resolve. When our actions are aligned with a higher purpose, we gain the endurance to handle setbacks, knowing that each step is taking us closer to something meaningful. Stoicism emphasizes this resilience, teaching that challenges are opportunities to practice virtue and grow stronger. By living with purpose, we not only endure these challenges, but find meaning within them. Imagine a life where every action, every relationship, every commitment reflects your deepest values. Purpose simplifies our choices, clarifying the times when walking away is the best decision. In those moments, we're not simply leaving something behind, we're choosing to stay aligned with our path. Purpose gives us the courage to let go of what doesn't belong on our journey, knowing that each departure opens the door to new possibilities that resonate with our true selves. So I invite you to ask yourself, are you living in alignment with your purpose, or are you drifting along a path set by others? Take a moment to consider what truly matters to you. What brings you a sense of fulfillment and peace? Embracing a clear direction not only guides your steps, but also transforms the way you see every challenge and every opportunity. As we move forward, we'll explore the importance of setting boundaries as an act of self-respect, allowing you to preserve the life you're crafting with purpose and intention. 3. Establishing boundaries as an expression of virtue. In the journey of self-mastery, few acts are as powerful and as essential as establishing boundaries. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate us, but markers that define who we are and what we value. They serve as reminders, both to ourselves and others, that we respect our own time, energy, and emotional well-being. Establishing boundaries is an act of virtue because it requires courage, wisdom, and self-discipline, all principles at the core of Stoicism. Boundaries protect the sanctity of our inner peace, ensuring that we do not stray from the path that aligns with our purpose. Consider for a moment. What boundaries have you set in your life, and how consistently do you uphold them? Are there areas where you find it difficult to draw a line, fearing rejection or conflict? Often, we avoid setting boundaries because we worry about how others will perceive us. We fear disappointing those around us, especially those we care about. But in Stoicism, self-respect and integrity are paramount. Establishing boundaries is a profound form of self-respect. It shows that we are committed to living with dignity and that we honor our own needs as much as we honor the needs of others. Boundaries also reinforce the idea that we are responsible for our own well-being. Stoicism teaches us to control what is within our power and to accept what is not. We cannot control how others will respond to our boundaries, but we can control how firmly we uphold them. Setting boundaries allows us to focus on what truly matters and to protect our mental and emotional energy. When we communicate these limits, we are not only respecting ourselves but also setting a standard for how others should treat us. But boundaries are not just for protection, they are also guiding principles that align us with our purpose. They help us stay focused on our goals, preventing us from being swayed by distractions or pulled into obligations that do not serve our path. When we set a boundary, we are saying, "This is where I end, and this is where I begin." It is a reminder that our lives are ours to shape, not something to be determined by the demands or expectations of others. To set boundaries effectively, it's crucial to first understand what truly matters to you. Reflect on the relationships and commitments in your life. Which of them bring you closer to your values and which pull you away? The Stoics believed that a life led by virtue is one where each action is intentional. Boundaries are tools that help us live with intention, choosing relationships and commitments that nurture us rather than deplete us. When we set boundaries, we also create space for meaningful interactions. By protecting our energy and time, we can engage fully with the people and pursuits that genuinely add value to our lives. Relationships become more balanced as each party respects the other's limits. Establishing boundaries, therefore, becomes not only an act of self-care, but also an act of respect for others. We allow those around us to know us more authentically, rather than expecting them to guess our limits or interpret our needs. In this way, boundaries enhance our connections and foster a more honest and fulfilling life. Some might perceive boundaries as selfish, but in truth, they are acts of generosity. By taking care of our own needs, we ensure that we are present, balanced, and capable of being there for others in a genuine way. Stoicism teaches us to give thoughtfully, not out of obligation or sacrifice, but out of a true desire to contribute. Boundaries make it possible to give in this way by preserving our strength and integrity. So, are you willing to draw lines that honor your well-being? Setting boundaries is a practice, one that becomes stronger with each choice to uphold them. With every boundary you establish, you reinforce a life guided by intention and self-respect. As we turn to the next principle, we will delve into the power of saying no and how this single word can help solidify your boundaries, affirm your values, and protect your inner peace. 4. The power of saying no. In a world that often equates saying yes with kindness and cooperation, no can feel like a radical choice. Yet, learning to say no is one of the most powerful tools we have for preserving our energy, maintaining our focus, and respecting our boundaries. For the Stoics, saying no was not about rejection or selfishness, it was an act of wisdom and self-respect. By saying no, we protect what matters most to us and make room for the commitments and relationships that truly align with our values. Are you ready to embrace the power of no? Saying no is a declaration of independence. It's a statement that you are in control of your choices, that you have a clear vision of your path, and that you're willing to prioritize your own well-being over the expectations of others. When we say yes too often, we risk spreading ourselves thin, losing touch with our own needs, and compromising our values. Stoicism teaches us to be discerning in our choices, focusing our energy only on what is within our control and aligns with our purpose. In this way, no becomes a way to reclaim our time and energy. But saying no is not always easy. Many of us have been conditioned to please others, to avoid conflict, and to put others' needs ahead of our own. We fear disappointing people or being perceived as difficult. Yet every time we say yes when we mean no, we diminish our own voice and weaken our resolve. Stoicism reminds us that true strength comes from living in accordance with our principles. When we say no to something that conflicts with our values, we are practicing courage, self-discipline, and wisdom, all virtues that the Stoics held dear. Have you ever found yourself agreeing to something out of obligation or guilt, only to regret it later? This is a common experience, yet it's one that can be avoided by developing the habit of saying no. When we learn to say no firmly and respectfully, we prevent the frustration and resentment that comes from overcommitting ourselves. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or abrupt. It can be a gentle yet firm reminder of our priorities. Imagine the peace that comes from knowing you're only giving your energy to what truly matters. The Stoic practice of saying no is deeply connected to the concept of living with intention. Every time we say no to a distraction, an obligation, or a request that doesn't align with our values, we affirm our commitment to a purposeful life. This is not an act of selfishness, but of self-respect. We cannot pour from an empty cup. By conserving our energy for the pursuits and relationships that uplift us, we are able to live more fully and give more generously. In saying no, we also set a powerful example for those around us. We show that our time is valuable and that our boundaries are non-negotiable. This sends a message of self-worth that encourages others to respect our limits. Additionally, by honoring our own needs, we teach others the importance of doing the same. Saying no becomes a way of fostering mutual respect and understanding in our relationships, strengthening the connections that matter most. Yet, no is not just about rejecting what we don't want. It's also about making space for what we do want. When we clear away the commitments and obligations that drain us, we open ourselves to opportunities that resonate with our true values. This is a cornerstone of Stoicism, making choices that align with our highest good and using our time wisely. Each no becomes a stepping stone toward a life that reflects our deepest values and aspirations. So, are you ready to embrace the power of no? Reflect on the areas of your life where you've been saying yes out of habit or obligation. Consider the freedom that comes from honoring your own needs, the strength that grows when you prioritize your well-being. Saying no is not just a rejection, it is an affirmation of what you stand for. As we move forward, let's explore how living with balance and intentionality helps us to serve both ourselves and others with integrity. 5. Choosing whom to serve with balance and intention. Life often pulls us in many directions, presenting endless demands from work, family, friends, and society. The challenge lies not in giving, but in knowing when, how, and to whom we give our energy. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of intentional service, of dedicating ourselves to others without losing sight of our own needs and boundaries. When we approach service with balance, we honor both ourselves and those we choose to help. Have you ever felt the weight of others' expectations, wondering if giving more would mean losing a part of yourself? True service is rooted in intention, not obligation. The Stoics taught that we should give thoughtfully and purposefully, not out of guilt or fear of judgment. Serving others with balance doesn't mean withholding help. It means offering it in ways that respect our own limits. Just as we set boundaries to protect our peace, we can choose how we serve to maintain a sense of harmony in our lives. If we overextend ourselves, we risk depleting the very energy we need to make a meaningful impact. In the words of Epictetus, know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. To serve others with intention, we must first understand our own values and priorities. By knowing ourselves, we can determine when our service is genuine and aligned with our purpose, and when it veers into the territory of self-sacrifice. Ask yourself, when I give my time and energy, is it from a place of fulfillment, or am I compromising my well-being? This self-reflection is essential in practicing balanced and intentional service. Stoicism reminds us that helping others should never come at the expense of our own peace. When we feel compelled to meet others' needs to the detriment of our own, we lose balance and stray from our path. A balanced approach to service allows us to care for others without neglecting ourselves. This balance is a form of self-respect, reinforcing our commitment to our own well-being. It's a reminder that we can serve others more effectively when we are strong, focused, and grounded in our purpose. Serving with intention also means being selective about where we direct our efforts. Not every request for our time deserves a yes. By discerning who and what genuinely aligns with our values, we ensure that our service is meaningful and sustainable. This discernment echoes the Stoic practice of living according to nature, a life in harmony with our core values and purpose. By choosing whom we serve and why, we avoid the exhaustion that comes from scattering our energy across too many commitments. How do you balance your commitments to others with your commitment to yourself? Consider the relationships and responsibilities that add value to your life versus those that drain you. Practicing intentional service means focusing on connections that are reciprocal, where mutual respect and understanding form the foundation. Stoicism teaches that we should value these balanced relationships as they nourish us rather than drain us. These connections remind us that service, when done with intention, enhances both our lives and the lives of others. There is also an important Stoic lesson in detachment. We should help others without becoming attached to their outcomes. Our role is to give with sincerity and let go of the need to control or influence others' responses. This detachment allows us to give freely, knowing that our worth is not tied to others' approval or acceptance. When we serve without attachment, we remain anchored in our own values, and our sense of fulfillment comes from within. Finally, balanced service fosters resilience. When we give intentionally, we do not risk burnout or resentment. Instead, we build relationships that support our journey and respect our boundaries. Serving with intention enriches our lives, connecting us to others in meaningful ways without compromising our own path. By embracing this balance, we honor both ourselves and those around us, embodying the Stoic principle of living harmoniously with the world. So, are you ready to practice intentional service? Reflect on where you give your energy and ask if it aligns with your values and purpose. Serving others with balance and intention is an act of self-respect, a way of maintaining integrity in all your relationships. As we move into the next principle, we'll explore how the abundance mindset, rooted in self-worth and self-sufficiency, empowers us to walk away from situations that don't align with our highest good. 6. The abundance mindset in negotiations and relationships. The abundance mindset is a transformative approach to life, rooted in self-worth and confidence. It teaches us that our happiness, fulfillment, and opportunities are not limited or controlled by external circumstances. In Stoicism, this mindset is a profound expression of resilience and autonomy. When we view life from a perspective of abundance, we release ourselves from the fear of scarcity. We no longer cling to relationships, jobs, or situations out of desperation or need. Instead, we recognize that we are complete within ourselves and capable of navigating life with clarity and independence. At its core, the abundance mindset is about self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean that we reject others or isolate ourselves. Rather, it means we cultivate an inner confidence that empowers us to make choices freely. When we hold this mindset, we approach relationships and negotiations with an understanding that our value is intrinsic and not dependent on any single outcome or approval. This freedom is deeply aligned with Stoic teachings, which encourage us to find contentment and strength within, regardless of external circumstances. Are you prepared to trust in your own sufficiency and embrace the abundance within you? Imagine a negotiation scenario, a professional deal, a friendship, or even a romantic relationship. Often we stay in situations because we fear there may be nothing better, or that walking away would be a loss. But the abundance mindset teaches us otherwise, that by being prepared to walk away, we actually gain power. When we can confidently detach ourselves from the outcome, we communicate to others that we have options, that we are not bound by fear of loss. This detachment sends a powerful message. We value ourselves enough to prioritize our standards and boundaries. In Stoic philosophy, this abundance is cultivated by focusing on what is within our control, our attitudes, actions, and responses, and by releasing the need to control others or outcomes. When we adopt this mindset, we stop seeking fulfillment outside ourselves and recognize that we are whole. This internal abundance liberates us, allowing us to walk away from any situation that doesn't align with our values. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By nurturing thoughts of abundance, we cultivate a life that reflects our highest standards. The abundance mindset also applies profoundly to personal relationships. When we approach connections from a place of fullness rather than need, we foster healthier, more balanced dynamics. We no longer depend on others to complete us or validate us, and this frees us to love without attachment or desperation. Stoicism encourages us to value relationships without becoming overly dependent on them. This approach leads to a more balanced and reciprocal form of connection, one where we are respected and where we respect the other person's independence as well. Are there relationships in your life that you cling to out of fear, or situations where you compromise your own values to keep the peace? Adopting an abundance mindset helps to shift these dynamics. It empowers us to enter relationships from a place of mutual respect, where we recognize our own worth and the worth of others without feeling bound by dependency. This strength makes it easier to walk away if the relationship becomes unbalanced or disrespectful. Knowing that we are whole and capable, we attract connections that align with our integrity rather than compromising ourselves for acceptance. In negotiations, the willingness to walk away often positions us more favorably. Whether in business, friendships, or even within family dynamics, this approach shows that we have standards and are not acting out of desperation. The abundance mindset assures us that no single deal, opportunity, or relationship is worth sacrificing our peace or principles. Stoicism teaches us that true power lies in self-mastery, and the abundance mindset reinforces this by reminding us that we are not bound by circumstances, but by our own inner resolve. As you cultivate this mindset, you'll notice a shift not only in your relationships and decisions, but also in how others perceive and interact with you. People sense when we carry ourselves with confidence and self-assurance, and they respond to that energy. By embodying abundance, we teach others to respect our boundaries, to honor our time, and to value our presence. This mindset also allows us to extend compassion and generosity to others without feeling depleted, as we are giving from a place of fullness. So, are you ready to adopt the abundance mindset? Reflect on areas of your life where you felt compelled to hold on out of fear. Imagine the freedom that comes from knowing you have all you need within yourself. Walking away, when needed, is not an act of rejection, but an affirmation of your own worth. As we conclude, remember that Stoicism encourages us to live in alignment with our values and integrity. Walking away is one of the most powerful ways to embody this wisdom, to protect our peace, and to live a life of true purpose and fulfillment. In embracing the courage to walk away, you reclaim your autonomy and remind yourself that your well-being matters. Each of these principles, courage, purpose, boundaries, the power of no, intentional service, and an abundance mindset, reinforces a life rooted in Stoicism, a life of self-respect and fulfillment. Remember, walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're choosing to care about your own peace and integrity above all else. Take a moment to reflect. Are there areas in your life where you're ready to let go, to say no, and to walk away? This journey is about honoring yourself, knowing your worth, and living a life that aligns with your values. Let these principles guide you toward a life that feels authentic and empowering. If you found value in these insights, please share your thoughts in the comments, and let's build a community focused on resilience and inner peace. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, and share it with anyone who might need encouragement on their own path. Thank you for joining me in this reflection, and may you walk forward with strength and serenity.